Hello, students. Welcome to Chapter 4, The United Nations, Subject Political Science, Standard 9th, Part 1. In this chapter, we will talk about United Nations. It is the most important international organization. There are around 193 countries are members of United Nations organization. Most of the countries are part of this organization. So let's begin. Now, United Nations is like a world government where all the leaders and representatives of the member countries are part of this organization and they come together in one assembly to discuss various issues that are faced by the world. The United Nations is an organization that was established to ensure peace and security at the international level. So, what is the main intention or objective of United Nations? It is to maintain peace and security at the international level. Suppose any powerful country is attacking another country which is weaker country and it is a member of United Nations, then all the member countries of United Nations organization will help that country. Let us see the background of United Nations. Two world wars were fought at the start of 20th century, due to which life and property were destroyed on a large scale. Due to this reason, after the First World War, League of Nations was established. Now, due to wars, countries faced lots of financial crisis. So, after the First World War, many countries decided that we need an organization that will look after the world, and if any such crisis come again, they will be able to maintain peace and harmony in the world. So, a League of Nations was organized after the First World War. But the League of Nations was not successful to maintain peace, and the Second World War was fought. But in the Second World War, America threw two nuclear bombs on Japan. Now, after the use of nuclear weapon in the Second World War, many leaders all over the world came together and discussed, and so an idea took root that such destruction should be stopped, and it is a responsibility of all nations to do so. After Second World War, United Nations was established to instill this understanding among all nations. Now let's understand the chronology of the establishment of United Nations. The Atlantic Treaty was signed between Prime Minister of England Sir Winston Churchill and American President Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Second World War on 14th August 1941. According to this treaty, now treaty means a formal agreement between states. So according to this treaty, a decision was taken to set up a permanent mechanism to establish international security after the Second World War was over. Permanent mechanism means a system of parts working together permanently. So it was to set up a permanent mechanism to establish international security after the Second World War was over. Detailed discussions were done on this decision in two conferences among Allied powers, that is, winning countries in the Second World War. They were Great Britain, United States, France, Soviet Union, and China. These were the winning countries in the Second World War in 1944 and 1945. So, in the two conferences, it was decided that a draft of the treaty to establish an international organization was prepared. At San Francisco in America, representatives of 50 countries drafted the Charter of the United Nations after discussion. As soon as the war got over, the charter was signed on 24th October 1945 and the United Nations was established. The United Nations is an international organization of sovereign nations. Sovereign nation means independent nations. Now, in the beginning, there were 50 countries, but the number has gone up to 193. Now, let us understand the objectives of the United Nations. United Nations is the world's largest international organization. It is an organization of all sovereign nations, that is, independent nations. In the beginning, there were 50 countries. The number has gone up to 193. The objectives of the United Nations are to establish friendly relations among nations, to enhance international security by solving international dispute, to safeguard and foster human rights and freedom, to enhance economic cooperation at the international level. All these member nations come together on the platform of the United Nations. United Nations take up all necessary measures for establishing international peace. Now let us understand the duties of member countries. It is to respect the diplomatic privileges of sovereign nations, not to attack other countries, to abide by international laws and treaties. It means that all the member countries are bound to respect the freedom of other. They have to abide, that is follow, by international laws and treaties. Now let us see what are the principles of United Nations. The principles of United Nations are: all member nations will have the same status. There is no discrimination among nations based on geographical size, economic or military power. All member nations of the United Nations should respect the freedom and geographical unity of other member nations. And all the member nations should solve their international dispute and mutual differences by peaceful means. Next, we will look at the structure of the United Nations. The United Nations Charter describes the structure and functioning of the organization. The United Nations has 6 main organs: General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, International Court of Justice, Trusteeship Council, and lastly, Secretariat. The headquarters of the United Nations is at New York. English, French, Russian, Spanish, Chinese, and Arabic are the official languages of the United Nations. Now, let us understand the affiliated organizations. Now, apart from the 6 major organs, there are many affiliated organizations of the United Nations. They are called specialized agency. The important affiliated organization, that is special agencies, are International Labour Organization (ILO), Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), World Health Organization (WHO), World Bank (WB), International Monetary Fund (IMF), United Nations Children's Fund (UNICEF), United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization (UNESCO). Now let us understand the 6 main organs of the United Nations Charter, which describes the structure and functioning of the organization. The first one is General Assembly. What is the structure? All the member countries are members of the General Assembly. Secondly, the position and status of all countries, whether rich or poor, big or small, is the same. The annual session of the General Assembly takes place from September to December. During the session, the General Assembly discusses issues like environment, disarmament, etc. Now let us go through the functions of General Assembly. To elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council, to choose the United Nations Secretary General and the judges of the International Court of Justice in the consultation with the Security Council, to pass the annual budget of the United Nations. Let us look at the second organ of the United Nations, Security Council. Structure. There are 15 members in the Security Council. America, Russia, England, France, and China are the 5 permanent members of the Security Council. 10 are non-permanent members. The non-permanent members are chosen every 2 years by the General Assembly. All decisions require the assent of all 5 permanent members and 4 non-permanent members. If even one of the 5 permanent members uses veto, that is negative vote, the decisions cannot be taken. What are the functions of Security Council? It is to maintain international peace and security. The Security Council can suggest and resolve conflicts by, firstly, intervention to establish peace, secondly, by imposing economic sanctions, and military action against the aggressor nation, to prepare policies for arms control and to recommend to the General Assembly appointments of the judges of the International Court of Justice and the Secretary General. These are also the functions of Security Council. Let us understand the structure and function of third organ of United Nations, Economic and Social Council. The council consists of 54 members, which is selected by the General Assembly for a term of 3 years. Every year, one third of the members are elected. The decisions are taken by majority vote, and its main objective is to coordinate the economic and social activities of the United Nations. Now, what are the functions of the Economic and Social Council? It is to initiate discussions at the global level on poverty, unemployment, economic and social inequality, and suggest policies to tackle these problems. Discuss and take decisions on empowerment of women, human rights and freedom, global trade, health related issues. Make efforts to establish international cultural and educational cooperation and also coordinate the functioning of the affiliated organization. These are all the functions of Economic and Social Council. So today we understood about the background of the United Nations, chronology of the establishment of United Nations, the objective, duties, principle, structure and functions of United Nations. In the structure of United Nations, there are six main organs, out of which in this part we have covered three main organs: General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council. In the next part, we will understand the next three main organs, that is International Court of Justice, Trusteeship Council and Secretariat, and more about United Nation organizations. Thank you.